especially in a time like this, where everything is driven by knowledge. We are saying we're in a knowledge economy. And if we're in a knowledge economy, obviously higher education is so right there at the center of any solutions that any society. Okay, so I've become the first speaker. I've earned myself to be the first speaker in this session. Thank you very much. What I was saying is that I'm glad to be here, even though not programmed, but clearly allow me to just use this opportunity to thank all of you who have joined us to really put our heads together, both the seasoned academics and the upcoming academics, the researchers, those who are in graduate training and other areas. We are very happy that Makerere University this year has been able to hold this conference, a very, very important conference. We are looking forward as part of the administration of the university. We are definitely looking forward to some of the recommendations that will come from this conference to inform the kind of strategic decisions that this university need to make around the question of higher education. So I will definitely be I will not be part of the conversations going forward, but I'm clear that the issues you raise in the papers you are going to discuss are so important for us to reflect on. So once again, thank you very much for giving me your ears for just a while before I give you back to the real content of your afternoon's discussion. Thank you so much.
Another round of applause, please. Another round of applause.
Prof, thank you very much for passing by. Yesterday, Professor Beluj here discussed the keynote address, and there was a sentence, all the things she said are quotable, but in one of them she talked about being at institutions that don't quite know their memory. We are trying, we have a bit of that in our school, but we are going to undo it now. For those of you who don't know, I would like to use the opportunity to recognize the presence of our founding dean. The founding dean of our school is with us. Professor Peter Nemabochi is there. Thank you. You're welcome. Our school aspires to be a home where people are permanently at home, not where people retire and go away and we never have anything to do with them. So Prof, you're welcome. I feel at home. The home you started is still growing strong. Thank you very much.
Okay, so hi everyone. Thank you very much for your patience. Dr. Kiamo, are you online?
Yes, I am. Yes,
Yeah.
I am. I'm here. Yes, finally.
So hello everyone. So this is the session that we are going to be reflecting on the World Cafe methodology that we went through yesterday, and Dr. Kiamo is going to take us through that. There is a register that is going around the room. Kindly sign it and share your details with us. Dr. Kiamo, I'm going to hand over to you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. After a very interesting day of Zoom not agreeing with us, but here we are, finally. And yesterday we met During our meeting, what happened is that our presentation took this format. The first one was we had a very brief introduction into what is the critical university studies. And then secondly, we also discussed the different research methodologies, and we went to the World Cafe. So this session basically is a reflective session. And how we are going, what I need to know first is how much time are we given before
We
so that
have up until 2:15. So
up until 2:15. Okay.
yes,
So
ma'am.
it means that we are going to do a very, very quick wrap up of the exercise. Because I had planned for at least 30 minutes. But it's fine.
30
Okay.
minutes. We can take 30 minutes.
No, I mean 30 minutes to do the first part, 30 minutes the next part.
Oh.
So an hour. So now it's just 30 minutes. But okay. We'll make do. It's fine. Okay. The first thing that yesterday before we departed, we also shared the different key points that were stated by the various table hosts, and they gave us feedback. However, since we are looking into the methodology itself, we are not going to be checking the content of what was said pertaining to our research, our question, not necessarily the research question, but pertaining to our question. So what I need to find out from you is, as the participants, including the table host, what exactly stood out for you? So what is it? What do you understand by the Well Cafe, either conceptually as a method or practically? And what makes it different or useful to you? So that would be the first question I can ask. So I don't know whether we still have the table host, but everyone is welcome to give an opinion. And those who can type, those who are online, can raise their hands if they want to respond. So basically, just need to know what stood out for you.
We have a hand in the room.
Yes.
Hi, Dr. Kiamo. So one question that we had in the room on the day, and I think wasn't answered right at the beginning, was about, you're having these conversations with multiple people. How do you attribute who said what, and do you need to? Maybe that's also one of the questions. Or is it general findings that you end up speaking about in the end, that at cafe table, whatever, these were the thoughts, ideas, all of that? How do you link it to somebody? Do you need to in this kind of methodology? I think that was the one question that I also walked away with.
Okay. Okay. The attribution, I think also your question was also online, if I'm not mistaken, but there was some question like that. It's not necessary to actually attribute the answers to a particular person. That is not because this is what we are seeking is collective knowledge. It's collective knowledge that is generated from the parties who participated. So what we can say is we can limit it to a particular table, that, okay, table 1, table 2, table 3, not necessarily from the person. Or, yes, table host 1 information. Because isn't it that it's the table host who is the repository of the information. But also, it also would depend on the members themselves, on the participants. Isn't it at times we believe that if my input is not attributed to me, then my voice is not heard. So some people might say that I would like my information to be actually, this information to be linked to me. So that is also fine. So there's that element of flexibility. Any other input?
Any other hands in the room?
There's not.
Reflections from yesterday. We don't have any more hands here. Guillermo.
Okay.
Edward online.
Hello? No, I'm online.
There's a hand up.
Oh, there's a hand up online.
Yes, Edward.
Please continue, Edward.
Good afternoon, colleagues. Yesterday it was a very interesting session, and what I've learned is that through this methodology or through this process, is that the participants themselves, they are taking an ownership of knowledge creation and dissemination of information, and also I've learned that if maybe, for instance, you are someone who's shy, yeah, as much as the group is not that big, there's a possibility for that person to be able to interact within that particular small group. And the last one, I think this thing of changing tables, having one leader on that particular table, it is very much important. As much as I've said, they take ownership on knowledge creation, dissemination, because whenever we change these participants and then still having that particular person who's taking notes, it makes us to be in a very good or in a right track of everything that we are trying to write down or taking the notes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Edward. So Edward was speaking about the advantages of the method. Any other person? Did you find any other benefits? Were there challenges? What is it that you need to be clarified on?
Edward's hand is back.
Yes.
Edward, you can
Edward.
unmute.
Thank you. I was struggling to unmute. My challenge is that so far I'm having a little knowledge on how to differentiate or to separate group discussion and World Cafe. I don't know. let me say, I don't really get it. Where should I bring separation of these two? How can I differentiate exactly what is what is what? Because somewhere, somehow to me, they seem like to be twins. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Edward.
We have a hand from one of the hosts in the room.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jane Katsime. I'm a PhD student. So yesterday I was one of the hosts on the table, and the experience I got, there you get enough information, different information, but still same information explained differently. So you get lots of ideas from people. I think it's a good method because we were looking at same issue, but in different dimensions.
Thank you. Are we still on? Oh.
We just had that one hand. We don't have any more.
Okay, let me answer to the question that Edward posed about the struggle to differentiate between focus group discussions and World Cafe discussions. I don't know what to call them. Yes, the main difference is that when we are having focus group discussions, the researcher is the main person. I'm watching my screen, so my screen keeps on changing colors. So I'm wondering whether can you still hear me? So
yes, we
can.
Okay. Thank you. So the researcher is the main facilitator with focus groups. So everyone relies on the researcher to facilitate everything. However, with the World Cafe, as you have seen, that it was the table host. The table hosts were the one who ensure that there is dialogue amongst the people at the table. And most importantly, there's awful noise outside. I'm sorry about that. I can't do anything about it. And secondly, with the Well Cafe, you can do it for a large number of people, even 80, even 100, and you put them in the same space, smaller tables. However, with focus groups, we can only do them with, at the most, 15 people. Cannot go more than 15 people because then people are not going to be interacting. And there's more ownership on when it comes to the Well Cafe because the participants see themselves as driving the whole process, unlike with the focus group discussions. So those are the main differences between the two. And yeah. And what we were supposed to also do yesterday that
Dr.
would
Gyamo,
hello,
there's a hand.
okay, thank you.
Hello, my name's Marion Alandi, a PhD student at the East African School of Higher Education Management and Development. Yes, the experiences of the cafe, the very first experience for us, it's something we didn't know, we had never heard of. A very beautiful experience. In the beginning, we thought we'd have cups of tea on our tables. We didn't see any. Yes, but we put into very organized groups, and it presented a kind of leadership with a head of the table, a secretary present. And then there was an aspect of, brain work, on-spot questioning, on-spot response, recommendations. Yes, it put most of us into an aspect of realizing that, yes, this information is known to very many people. Actually, the information is known. People are aware of what is going on, and it's therefore important. The discussion bit of it was so critical, and we kept on moving from one table to the other. Sometimes some tables we kept on repeating what they had already discussed, but realized some of the explanations came up to be different. There was an indication that people are so knowledgeable. A number of examples came up, an indication that yes, these things are real, they're realities in our societies, and we are able to learn a lot. Apart from the time factor for presentations, yeah, we had a lot. We had a lot of information we had written, but the time we were given was so short, and there was just sketchy presentations. But what manifested very seriously was the challenge of language. Language, how do you put Africans together? How do Africans come together if one particular culture does not understand the other culture? This culture is not proud of their culture to bring it up, and how can Africans come together to make sure their issues, their challenges are addressed, the inequalities are addressed, and to us, we really realize that we still have a challenge within ourselves. We need to sort ourselves first before we sort the African challenges. Thank you.
Dr. Kiamo, there's also a question on the comments on the chats from Edward. He's asking whether you can use qualitative, quantitative, or mixed methods with World Cafe.
Yes, one can do that because it's a versatile method. So it's possible. It will depend on your research question, but it's possible to use that. Particularly mixed methods. Sorry, yes.
Please go ahead.
Okay, and if you possibly, maybe we can ask two people to just share their experiences, because I realize that when you are looking at each other, we don't actually share experiences, and the way you are seated again, it's limiting, isn't it? Unlike yesterday, because yesterday when you got into the room, you immediately started chatting in your small tables, and it showed that, so now, because we have moved to a different platform, a different sitting arrangement, it also affects how we interact. The interaction for today is quite different from that of yesterday. So can you just take 2 minutes and then answer these questions? The first one, is, how does this, I'll also post on the chat, how does this method change the role of the researcher? And the second one is how do you characterize the role of the table host? And what can be the advantage of being the table host? One. So you just need to actually speak together now.
Dr. Kiamo, we only
Hello,
have 5 minutes left.
5 minutes left. Oh,
yes.
Okay.
So maybe we can do one question.
Yeah, we can. Okay, maybe let's do this question, this one, not the one that I gave, because I was thinking that we have some time. Yesterday, Su-Ming spoke about implicit thematizing. Su-Ming spoke about implicit thematizing as a table host. Is she there? She can also.
No, she's not.
Okay, can we ask the table host, how was it to be thematizing? Because you are the ones who are supposed to be coming up with the themes, the connections.
So unfortunately today we only have one table host in our room unless there is one in online. And she's already shared.
Yes. And then the participants, the 5 minutes.
May you please repeat the question?
For the participants.
So if I may, I think the drawing out of themes was actually interesting, that even as a participant, you were also trying to draw the themes as you went table to table to table. So it wasn't even just, and I think the role of the participant is even more active, whether in the physical moving from table to table, because you're not sort of, and I think that was one thing I was thinking about, is the hierarchies of, you're a PhD student in your 5th year, I'm number 1, or I'm masters, or I'm honors, or whatever. The hierarchies of, you might know more, so I'll defer to you, but we didn't introduce ourselves, and we didn't give titles, and we didn't, so no one knew what context you're kind of speaking about unless you spoke to it. So that was quite interesting. But the theming, I think, also went with you as a participant, and you weren't defaulting to the researcher to theme it for you. So that was, to draw out those thematic things. So that was an interesting takeaway. And I think for me, I'm trying to think of it from a visual perspective. From the arts and, that kind of space. Yeah.
Wow. That's interesting. Possibly one last question, because I'll be told that you are left with one minute. Do you see yourselves using this World Cafe? Do you believe that you have adequate knowledge to actually implement the World Cafe?
Okay, do I see it using it? Yes, but I still have some knowledge gaps. I think I need time to read it further so that I understand what it is. Because I think the way we did it yesterday, it's not the way I will do it practically in the field. Like, we are moving on different tables. That was kind of for learning purposes. So if I'm to take it to the field, I think every table have the autonomy to answer the questions without additional information from another table. So like how to operationalize that information, I still have a gap in that, but it's a very good method, and I would love to use it.
Thank you very much.
What Jane has just mentioned, yes, it's a very adaptable methodology. I imagine very usable, because It presents quick retrieve of information. Within a very short period of time, a lot of information is retrieved from individuals on spot. Yeah, once adopted, it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think the World Caf approach is a new innovation that will help us, because when we got engaged with it yesterday, I related it to the word cloud, NVivo version 12, where you find that a certain theme is more pronounced than others, because when we're rotating around the table, you find that some ideas that are generated, they cut across. They cut across. So I have a feeling that it now brings in the aspect of that idea being a major theme. I think that's what I got actually for yesterday's interaction in regard to the World Cafe. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Good afternoon. The idea of the World Cafe is a really nice one. As the previous speaker has said, really, it is quite easy to find a common denominator while you're using the word cafe. And that helps to, keep on track. So there is a lot of dovetailing, and I think it fits along, like in the puzzle that we're having many concurrent discussion. It also fits in. Already I can see there is a tendency to converge around a theme. So I believe it is a very, very practical and wonderful innovation.
I think that's it from our side.
Thank you very much. So basically what we did today was to recap on what we did about the World Cafe, the theoretical part, the philosophies, and then now we also focus on I'm doing the wrap up, and now we focus on the application and where we got your ideas about what you gained, the doubts, and also the strengths, but mostly what you said were the strengths of the World Cafe and its adaptability. And what I can say about the World Cafe is that it is quite adaptable. I mean, I have never done it online. I have also, and the way we have been doing it in Makerere is not the way that I have done it. So the element of adaptability is what is quite interesting and what is quite imperative about it. And also, we need to understand that even the people who came with the World Cafe are saying that it is adaptable. We need not to be too concerned about how we do the process. You know, that we are sticklers to the rules. It needs to be, because when we are imagine when we are having conversations with where at the cafe, we are relaxed, we are in a relaxed mode. We don't actually follow protocols as they are, you know. So that is what is attractive about the World Cafe. So since we are Ma, hello.
You are breaking. We couldn't hear you for about 5 seconds.
For 5 seconds. Okay. So what I was saying is that the World Cafe is quite adaptable. It's quite adaptable. And isn't it that as researchers, we tend to follow strict lines. I think Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes.
Oh, because the photos are frozen, so that's why. So we tend to follow strict lines, but with the World Cafe, what we need to do is actually to adapt to the situation. We ensure that we get information as required, and what we people who are online can hear me, and what we are supposed to be doing again, because what we are supposed to be doing is that I don't know how to resolve this. People who are online can hear me. People on site cannot hear. I don't know what we are supposed to be doing, because the World Cafe is a solution-seeking exercise. We're supposed to also be looking at the solution, how to work out, how to come up with workable and practical solutions to the issues that we faced. However, we cannot. So for today, I believe that we are finished. We'll hopefully without technical challenges for tomorrow. We'll meet at I forgot the venue at where we are. Will be the theme is on Africanizing methodologies, research methodologies. So we can meet there with people. The session will still take the same shape, where we are basically reflecting. So we can meet with the same participants or different participants, but we'll be doing the very same process. Basically, session C3. It looks like, yes. Session C3, so where we will be debriefing, and I hope that we'll have more time to do it, because this one feels very rushed. So but all in all, I thank you very much for your participation, not only participation, your commitment and your commitment, and also your input. Thank you very much. Oh, and I will.
Can I read the comment on tomorrow's session?
Yes.
So it says tomorrow's session will be on Africanizing research methodologies. In session C3, we will meet there to debrief. It would be great if we can have more time. Thank you everyone for your time, patience, commitment, and input. So that's you paraphrased.
Thank you. And I'll certainly send I have sent the materials, the literature for the World Cafe on WhatsApp. We have a WhatsApp group. So I have sent that to all of you. I thank you very much. I hope tomorrow we are not gonna rush like this.
Yeah, we'll make sure technology is kind.
Yeah, technology must be kind to us. Cannot be.
Tomorrow will be better. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Enjoy your lunch.
Please don't leave yet. Final word.
Thank you. As chair of the next session, I want to take this opportunity to thank Dr. Kiamonges. Am I mentioning it very well? Okay. For that reflection on the World Cafe. You have done us a great deal to shed light on some of these gray areas, and I'm glad you are promising to share the slides, the literature, because people are really interested in learning. I believe there is always a starting point, and at some point there is always an entry point. So we will be very glad to share a lot more from you and to look at those slides. Otherwise, you have done us a great deal to share the reflections on those about those areas that members wanted to really know. Thank you so much, and God bless you. Can we give her a round of applause? That is for you, Doctor. I hope you have received it very well. Colleagues online, we thank you so much. We do not take your presence for granted and your contribution. And colleagues here present for this session this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, I want now to usher in our next presenter. We are going to, he's here with us physically, a doctor in the making. Second year, PhD student, East African School of High Studies, Education and Development. Brother Ngotho. Yeah? I really get challenged. For the years I was with him in school, I had issues with mentioning his name. But he's Ngotho Gichuru, Makerere University, taking us through his topic. Can you please focus on the Global South Cooperation? He is focusing or going to focus on how collaboration on the continent and within the so-called Global South, how it can be sustained, and what strategies do we need to address and overcome its asymmetries. Its asymmetries. There we go. Thank you so much for being present for us, and we are eager to listen from you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name's Mr. Ngotho, as I've been introduced, and I'm currently doing my PhD in education management for second year. And I began thinking about this topic when our dean, Professor Jude Sempebwa, asked us who owns our universities? And I began reflecting, did he mean that who owns our universities because of our collaborations or what? So I went and looked at what are some of these gaps in these collaborations that are there, because you hear some of our universities, such as Makerere University, has cooperated with other universities, such as Michigan University, Queen's University. But these collaborations, after a few years, you see those collaborations are no longer there. And if you ask there, what is the problem? You are told that sustainability issues made us not to continue. And so I went to the literature so as to make sure that my arguments were backed by literature. And I went and interacted critically with the works of this scholar, Guye 2022. And Guye 2022 actually agreed with my thinking that in the Global South, there is this collaboration disparities, whereby for our universities, our collaborations are not more sustainable because we are over-depending much on, for example, financial aspect of the Global North. Without the Global North, if the Global North partners pull out, we also pull out. So this GUE came and says that there is a problem because the sustainability, because for intra-South, Global South means these countries that are south of this Atlantic, such as sub-Saharan African countries and others, they are not sustainable. So I went into the literature and to look what are some of these things that they were saying that they were not sustainable. And I saw that currently our universities had come up with some of the collaborations through grassroots initiative, through some of the skills development, expertise, whereby they send, for example, visiting doctoral students, visiting lecturers, for example, to Queen's University and Makerere. After a few years, you see that partnership is over. You try to ask what is the problem, and you are told it is the other partner that pulled out. So you have all that time and going again and looking, where can we find other collaboration, be it technical expertise, be it financial expertise, and everything. And after interacting with literature, I developed a very conceptual framework that I used in this systematic literature review paper. And according to this conceptual framework, I came up and argued that for sustainability to work, there must be two major aspects. The first one is decolonizing knowledge production. And this point was backed by literature such as Ndlovu and Gatsheni 2018. Also, Zeleza 2009 says that sustainability cannot occur sustainably if you have not decolonized knowledge production in the global south. And also, I came up with, as we shall see later on, these others ACE principles for partnerships. We are going to see later what does this ACE principles for partnership means. And they have been championed very much by Sehol et al. 2004. So as I was interacting with the literature, these were the major aspects that were being talked about by these high impact papers, because this is a systematic literature review paper. And they are mentioning these 2 points, decolonizing knowledge production and as a principles for partnerships. And if you, that is why the sustainability in the global south is not working, because it is lacking these two aspects. And after that, after collecting data, I went and analyzed the findings so as now to come and look at the findings really. And I used the matic analysis. Yes. And under decolonizing knowledge production, how does decolonizing knowledge production leads to sustainable collaboration? There is what is known as epistemic freedom. The keynote speaker today was talking about the issues of epistemic justice and everything. Epistemic freedom means that epistemology deals with knowledge production. It means that as you are generating new knowledge, are you generating knowledge that has been championed by the West through their themes and everything, or are you generating them after coming up with African thought? So if you don't decolonize knowledge production through epistemic freedom, even if you enter into partnerships, for example, with Queen's University, Nelson Mandela University, University of Michigan, as long as this aspect is not there, then you will not have decolonized knowledge production. And then there is this second aspect of decolonizing knowledge production. It is known as endogenous knowledge recovery. So it means that, for example, we have this, our knowledge, African knowledge, that we used to have it, even because the keynote speaker said today we had even universities before coming of colonization there in Mali and everything. So how do we recover some of those indigenous knowledge and we apply them today, so that even if you are partnering with, for example, Queen's University, even if they give us their Western-centric ideas, also the indigenous knowledge that we had in the future, for example, in medicine, in management and everything, we also utilize it. But if there is no this aspect of indigenous knowledge recovery, then that knowledge will not be sustainable, because as long as the donor has finished their collaboration for 5 years based on their themes, you are going to be forced to look for other partnership. And then there is cognitive justice. Also, the keynote speaker today also mentioned about the issues of cognitive justice, and we had not met with the keynote speaker. It's just that our points went hand in hand. So how do we also decolonize? We continue again. We counter penetration of Western civilization. There was this issue of African university, but do we really have, is Makerere University really an African university in thinking, or it is in African setting? For me, I think it's in African setting because we have not yet countered penetration of Western civilization. For example, at Makerere, if you are collaborating with Queen's University on artificial intelligence, for example, are we basing this knowledge of artificial intelligence based on Western civilization or based on African epistemology and everything? We have not yet been able to counter because we want also to publish in top impact journals that are Scopus Index and Road that are mostly based on Western civilization. We have not yet countered Western civilization, but we are saying every time we want to counter. But how have you countered? Because you have not engaged with African culture, because we tend to think that our knowledge is not yet there. Also, you decolonize knowledge production through something known as decolonial pedagogy. So, yes, because have we decolonized our curriculum? We have not yet decolonized our curriculum, be it in education, be it in medicine, be it in everything. And yet you want that collaboration to be sustainable. It will not be sustainable. And also, I saw that you must address power asymmetries for all others to be considered. So we have said that in the last slide that decolonizing knowledge production, these are very key aspects: epistemic freedom, endogenous knowledge recovery, cognitive justice, countering penetration of Western civilization, decolonial pedagogy, and addressing power asymmetries. However, I also came up and so if you only follow this, it will also not be sustainable because you will not have applied these principles. They are known as ACE principles for partnership and sustainable knowledge production. ACE means aware, connect, empower. Yes, you have entered into partnership with Queen's University. Have you looked at the assumptions that have made you to go into partnerships, or you have only gone to partnerships because Queen's University is good fiscally, it has technical expert? Have you really looked at the underlying assumptions? The second one is connecting, building rapport. Have you really built a rapport so that even these partnerships can coexist even if you are not there? That is why you see in Western universities, for example, Harvard and everything, they have been partnering with institutions in Western Europe for hundreds of years because of these elements of rapport. Unlike China and US, this connection is not very much and northern, but if you look to the US, Canada, and Western Europe, their partnerships have worked very well because of this connection. But between China and the US, because there is not that suspicion and everything, this issue of connect is lacking. But connecting also itself is not important. That is why there is also the principle of empower. Marginalized voices, do they have the voices in knowledge production? It is what is known as mode 2, because mode 1 is always science, but mode 2 is this other traditional knowledge. But we see in Africa, we don't empower these marginalized voices because we, for example, in Uganda here, you are in Gulu University, you want to bring partnerships with Queen's University, but you have not considered those local communities, what are their perspectives? Because for you, you think that these are not educated, but for us as faculty only, we can go and just connect with Queen's University. If it is at Makerere, we have not seen them including these people at Wandegia, where because according to them, it is better if I only go and connect with a professor at Queen's University because he or she has a PhD, is an authority in this. But these marginalized voices, you are saying, what can they tell me? They don't know even to do these things. And that is what is also costing us. So those principles, again, there's this integration with Ubuntu philosophy. Everybody keeps talking about Ubuntu, 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 Ubuntu by name, but I've not seen it being applied practically. And so the ACE principles say that also the Ubuntu philosophy must be there. But these partnerships that are we are most entering with Other African universities and the global north, they are using other philosophical assumptions mostly. And then power dynamics. How do you address power dynamics? For example, Makerere University is partnering with Queen's University. How do we make sure that Queen's University is not, for example, dominating the conversation? Or Makerere University is partnering with Nelson Mandela University. How do we ensure, for example, Nelson Mandela University is not dominating these partnerships? But this, we have not been able to address power dynamics because for us in the global south, as long as you have partnered with those top institutions such as Harvard, you let Harvard University have their say very much because you regard yourself to be as the inferior partner. And according to ACE principles, you must address power dynamics. And there's this issue of continuous learning, whereby you learn from the mistakes. For example, if Makerere University and University of Michigan partnerships did not work, for example, in 2000, you learn from those mistakes that made that partnership not work beyond 5 years, and you come and continue to improve, rather than only writing reports and them gathering dust in the shelves and everything. However, in this systematic literature review paper, I had a very, I will go to the field because I was not able to answer this question. What strategies can address and overcome its strategies? But through systematic literature review, I was able to address how collaboration can be sustainable between the South-South collaboration and the global North and South collaboration. But when it came to this research question, I was not able to address it through systematic literature review paper. And I saw that I will have now to go to the field and interact with experts because I tried looking for some of the so-called top journals and everything, trying to sort for help in data analysis to answer this question, but I was not able to answer this question. But the key message for today is that the current partnerships, as they are working, they are not yet sustainable after some years. And that is why ACUSAfrica came up with one of these themes among many other themes to address this question on how collaboration on the continent and within the so-called global south can be sustained. And you have seen that it can be sustained according to this conceptual framework that I developed through two ways: decolonizing knowledge production and as a principles for partnerships. And if we, but this is my conceptual framework, but it might be, I'll be open to your criticism and comments that will help me to work out very well and improve the final piece, because I've not yet submitted this work to the journal. I'm hoping to submit it in December of this year. And thank you very much. That was my short presentation.
Another round of applause for our presenter. Thank you so much. I now want to turn over to the audience for your comments, remarks, questions, and additions. Anyone who has a comment? Yes, Prof.
Thank you so much for that talk. As a person who went from the Global South to an institution in the Global North, I think what you raise are very, very important questions, and actually very difficult to address, because institutions are larger than any of us and they all have their ideas. And so for our agency as academics, learning how to negotiate these geopolitics are very, very important. I was thinking though, have you had a look at the recent Cape Town Declaration, which was developed particularly because of global North-South partnerships? And it's a framework for sort of equality and equity within social relations of universities. And it's quite recent, but I was wondering if you'd had a look to see how you think it relates to the dynamics on the continent, because you also picked up on South Africa to other parts of the continent too. So there are politics within the global South and on the continents as well, right? that I think you very usefully touched upon.
Any other? Okay. Mind the chairperson will move the microphone.
Thank you, presenter. I am happy that you talked about marginalized voices. So how do you think, maybe if you were to advise, what do you think should be done to enhance epistemic sociality, maybe, and inclusivity, epistemic sociality and inclusivity in the process of decolonizing education? And of course, that implies going Afrocentric or Afrocentric. Thank you.
Is he responding to that first? Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Tubi. I would request the colleagues from the East African School thank him in our East African School way. Asante sana. Yongeza tena. Thank you. Thank you so much for that elaborate presentation. The time you took to put this piece of work together. Yes, it indicates work in progress. Yes. And we have a few questions and additions to make. Well, I just want you to possibly get to know that you needed to give indication that some collaborations are short-term, long-term, and some of them can be on-spot collaboration. Yes, so to me, I don't think collaborations have to be, not all collaborations have to be sustained. Yes, it could be a project that the moment the project is done, collaboration is not necessary anymore. Another project is caught up, maybe another time, and that kind of thing. Then you talked on of the power dynamics, and you gave indication and examples of some universities dominating discussions in one way or the other. Yes, I would like to inform you that some dominations come with perspective, either of expertise, it may be expertise, it may be your point of origin. Yes, so you need to convince us really that your perspective is really realistic in that sense. Otherwise, yes. Then I don't know, yes, but how to anybody who may read your work, I don't know, maybe I didn't see it so well, but I don't see clearly the aspect of how to decolonize knowledge production. How could a layman read your work and understand that perspective? I understand it very well, but how could anybody, yes, not so knowledgeable, get to understand your work well? Thank you.
Thank you, members, for those submissions. Before I call upon the presenter to say something, I also want to make a comment or something that we need to also understand or factor in our collaborations. Oftentimes, Prof, are you coming back? Yeah, because I have two questions for you. So oftentimes, Africans, we get sponsorship, Ugandans, we go for further studies and so on and so forth. And then at the end of it all, in this collaboration, the cream of those who have gone for further studies are picked up and are retained wherever they are. So I see a problem of brain drain coming in and affecting the quality of this relationship. That is one point where I want you to make a comment. And then Prof, the presenter is saying he needs some comment on the conceptual framework. As simple as it is, I want you to, I would like you, yes, Prof, I'm talking to you, Dina. So you want me to say Dina? So now he needs a comment on the conceptual framework. And if I looked at it in a different way, would it change the meaning of the idea? That is, if I had decolon, I think I need my space. Okay, help me to read that. Decolonizing knowledge production, and then the assay principles at the bottom, then putting up the sustainable global South collaboration. These two are the supporting points that will lead to that sustainability. I need a comment for the benefit of everyone here, as the students and you. What would, how much would that change the meaning of that conceptual framework? Simple as it is. Then generally, is my question clear, Prof? Is my question? Okay. So what would it, maybe I can even come closer for members to really understand. If that one is up there, I'm looking for sustainable global South collaboration. Then maybe this one comes here, this one comes here, and then the arrows take me there. Okay? Just that. Eh? How would it be interpreted? Now, the other comment that I have generally to the whole program, we are looking at Africanizing higher education, or generally the education system. And to me, I feel a complete divorce may not be possible. It may not be achievable. Okay? A complete divorce. You say, no, we want education to be typically African. That means we are losing on the good aspects that are on the other hand of the Western bloc, because we need it, and that is how we are moving. And this morning, one of the presenters said that think globally, but act locally, okay? You know, there are so many crossroads around this debate. And then we are also saying it is our responsibility as African elites, African academicians, African intellectuals, to see how best we can model, we can shape what is Africa, picking the beauties from the other side, because we cannot do away with technology. We cannot do away with all these changes that are coming up, and we need them. So the responsibility of the African academicians, the African intellectuals, in helping to improve the indigenous education, but also making it standard or standardized and something that matches with the world competition. So those are my two areas, my 3 or 2 issues. Ngotho, over to you, please.
Thank you very much. You raised a question of brain drain, whereby some of the people are sponsored to go abroad and they don't return. There's a good model of Saudi Arabia model. The Saudis, they usually have partnered with the Americans and they take some of their best people to America, but because there are incentives, they come back. So incentives have to be there for people to come back. You can't just keep on preaching patriotism, because people no longer eat patriotism, but incentives should be there. Also, the Chinese model in the 1980s, before China started to rapid economic growth, it used to send some of their top brains to the West, but because of the incentives, they are coming back And as a result of that, that's why you have seen some of the universities such as Tsinghua University in China now competing with the likes of Harvard University. So incentives have to be there because people no longer eat patriotism. So I accept that complete divorce might not be there, of course, but we are looking at sustainability, not doing away with, but sustainable collaboration, not doing away with, I don't know, Western ideas or what. Of course, you can't do away because of epistemological apartheid, as the keynote address was talking today, but sustainable collaboration is the better. There was a question of decolonizing knowledge production. Let me put it in an easier way. The way we are used to producing knowledge, for example, if you produce knowledge for you to be an acclaimed academic, you must publish, for example, in quartile 1 or quartile up to quartile 4 journals or what. But we are looking at what are some of these African ways that we might produce our African knowledge, disseminate in African way, not only looking at the Eurocentric way. That is what is decolonizing knowledge production. And unfortunately, Doctor, I have not gone through the Cape Town Declaration, but I'll go through and review it and include it before submitting the final paper to Taylor and Francis December. And you also mentioned about geopolitics. Of course, geopolitics have to be there. You can't run away from them, but the issue is how do we manage? Because we have some of the universities, for example, we had the University of Zimbabwe, when they had those sanctions under Tony Blair in the early 2000s, the University of Zimbabwe managed to outdo to integrate with geopolitics, and they have a successful collaboration with State University of New York, ranging up to the early 2000s in the Mugabe era. So it's just a way of knowing how to figure out, because you can't go away from the geopolitics. And the question of marginalized voices, there is this issue of public participation that is being championed very much by advocacy. For you to come up with a policy or what, public participation is critical. And that is why, for example, in the neighboring country here in Kenya, for some of these things to work out, the law has said that there must be public participation. And public participation whereby not those people who have brought the public participation dominate, but to let all the ideas to dominate in such a way. So marginalization, to address it, public participation is the better. And so there's also things at the faculty level, non-tenure track positions such as adjunct positions, whereby they try to flex some of the qualifications so that to introduce those people who are down there, but they have that expertise, they come and bring some of their ideas into academia. So adjunct positions and public participation can very help much to address the marginalized voices. I beg to submit.
Thanks so much. And I'm really glad you took time. I don't want to speak as the expert here. No, because I don't think I am. I really think there are many in this room who are. I just wanted to comment to your suggestion, how, if he was to rearrange it, how would it change things? In a sense, your suggestion to put the two on the side lower and feed into it, in a way, I think you're creating a hierarchy. And if you have a look here, he's suggesting quite well that that these things need to feed into it, but almost that there might be a tension. And I think one of the really important things about your presentation is you haven't ignored the tensions. You're working with the tensions, you know? And so often despite ourselves, despite everything we know, we come up with these normative frameworks of what should be in a world that will not create those conditions. And I think you're trying to find a way through the literature to suggest not just what should be, but within those tensions, how we can manage it, you know? Sustainability is an incredibly difficult thing. I don't know, we're not managing it, we haven't managed it. But you're saying the literature suggests these are some of the ways in which we can do that. So I applaud you for that. Yeah, but I do think the question of how this is managed, I don't know if it's being cheeky to pass the mic over. Yeah. Fantastic.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, thank you very much. When I pondered on the topic of sustainability, where I was in the morning, I learned something, what we called plastic universities. I get to understand that probably we are living into plastic sustainability. I want to give an example. A parent and a son or a child relationship. Who pays school fees for this child? If then you don't do what I want, then you leave my house, then there is no school tomorrow. Then, as you said, that for us on the southern part, then we just agree to so that we sustain, because at the end of it all, once we do not accept probably the string attached that in quotation, how will I live? How will I be? How is my future? So in the end, it's not that I really want, but then I have to live. I have to make it so that I may be. So in the end, I see plastic sustainability. Thank you.
Sorry, not a comment, but more of a question. Would you be able to go to the slide that speaks about the ACE principles? So I wonder about the the Gacheni sort of the decolonial that you speak of, and then these ACE principles, and the two kind of being side flanking what you the aim. But I wonder if these do not in themselves have to be decolonial or be approached in a decolonial way manner. So it's almost like the decoloniality is inherent in them. So it's not that the knowledge production sits, I mean, I guess knowledge production is separate and this is a separate thing, but this for me also still needs to consider decoloniality in that the way I might connect as someone of Tanzanian Swahili heritage to somebody who's from a different, from the Chinese, like how do I connect with you? How do I empower? How do I make aware? So it might, you kind of need to consider the contexts that people, which I think you spoke to, but maybe isn't, is implicit but not explicit. But I really thoroughly enjoyed your talk, and thank you so much for bringing this forward, because for me it's relevant in the sense that I'm in the private higher education space in South Africa, which is, you rely quite a lot on partnerships, and because we don't get public funding or government funding. So it's so relevant to consider who are we partnering with and what does it say when we partner with them. And like you said, the hidden philosophies, it's weighted. You don't just partner with somebody and that's it, but it says something that, sometimes we're not aware about. So I really appreciated the talk. Thank you so much for the research you're doing.
I also want to share with you that what is happening here in Uganda is not very different from what is happening in South Africa. Once you are a private education provider, you go it all by yourself. In any case, you even have to be taxed. So instead, you pay tax to the government for supporting or helping the government to do its role. So that's what we are going through. It's not very different.
Thank you very much. I'll try to integrate for it to be explicit and not only implicit in the final paper before submitting for publication. Yes, yes, for reflecting. Thank you. Thank you, thank you.
that's it for this session. Since we don't have any comment from our participants online. Am I sure of that? Okay, no comments from participants online. We bring it at that. Thank you, everyone, and give yourself a very good applause. Thank you, our presenter, and please be well.